Good evening all. Welcome to final assessment interview preparation, tweaking Tuesdays, session 8. This is our concluding session for this season. We are going to discuss about project finance and quantification and costing. So first we will start with project finance. That is common for quantity surveying and construction as well as project management pathways. So we will start with this level 3 question, which is coming under implementing change control procedures within the contract. So particularly when you are utilizing change control procedures, how you will implement. So anybody can try advise a client on key elements of a robust change control procedure for a construction contract. Because this is very common. So you have to, you don't touch anybody change control procedures in your summer of experience.
Can I answer, sir?
Josie yes, please, Josie.
Good
Yes,
evening, sir.
please.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
I will advise to my client for the robust change control procedure as per following: the change request number and date raised, then the description of the change and justification of the change, the cost and time implication, ask the attendant for the proposal, then implication on functionality, quality, buildability, time, cost for the project, then documentation and drawings required for the change, then project team and project fees and resources levels, and I advise the client for making the arrangement for the funds for additional work and absent to the approval for the concerned authority.
Okay, how do you make this like key elements when you are advising a client about implementing this? So what sort of arrangements you would do? This is okay, you listed out the register and how do you manage it? But when you are implementing, so to the client, how would you advise? What are all the things or limitations or constraints that you may face when you are getting the change orders at different stages? What do you want to have this change control procedure?
For this for this robust change control procedure in different stages is the first, as per my knowledge, first is the importance of the change, then it whether required or not required, then same budget is there, budget allocation approval from the finance department.
Okay, so if after completion of job or that work activity, if the client come and give you the change order,
yes. Then at that time, it is after the taking over certificate, it is very difficult to execute the change control in the project.
yes. So those things you should primarily advise when you are advising the client about change control procedures. So you have to take, how do you want to make sure this change is required or not? And if it is required, the cost is fine, how the client is going to arrange for the fund. And if that is also agreed, within which period they can issue the change order for certain elements, because they cannot keep on issuing, although the contract allows you until the taking over certificate. Anytime prior to the taking over certificate, usually the Freddie
Yes,
contract
yes.
allows you to issue. Even though it will be very difficult for you if they are issuing the change order after the respective work has been completed at site. That means you are going to remove the entire execution and then you have to work on it.
Yes.
So that is the purpose you want to have. And again, whenever we have the change order, it should go to the responsible person. Like if it is structural, it should go to the structural engineer, that department. So we should have something like RACI matrix, responsible, consulted, informed. Those kind of matrix should be there, and you should appropriately utilize them to take decision about the change control procedures, and you will see some sort of thresholds like when, time limit, cost limit, and quality. Yes, of course, we are expecting minimum quality. That doesn't mean you can go lavishly some finishes that is going to cost you and increase the project value unnecessarily. That is also trouble. So we have to see in all these things how you are going to communicate. That is where it comes the proper person to address the issue. And finally, contract administration. When you are integrating these things, who is responsible for this contract administration? So that one should be there. Yes, of course, it is you. That's why it is coming to you at level 3 question. So you should define that in your contract that you are the change controller responsible to manage this process as per contract administration. Okay, anybody wants to add something here? Okay, let us move to next question. What are the contractual mechanisms for dealing with variations, and how would you advise a client on utilizing them effectively? Now it's not about the change control procedures, it is about the contractual mechanism. So what are the contract classes usually available? Either it can be FIDIC or even if it is bespoke. So same set of contracts in different wording or maybe transferring the risk differently, but still you should have those classes. Otherwise you will not be able to identify. So what sort of contractual mechanisms usually you know and you will advise to utilize them effectively? So what are those for the variations? No one else? Joshi again. Joshi, are you there?
I know my mic is on, sir. Now I'm here,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Yes.
Would you please try?
Yes, I will try. I will try, sir. Mm, Contractual mechanism to deal with the variations are first the request should be made by the employer or the contractor. Then it should be value engineering to reduce the cost to the employer. There is a change in line labor characteristics of the work. Then the characteristics of the work. Then change in the sequence or timing of the work. Then revision in laws and regulations. Then change in the material prices due to the other external factors influencing just as the legislation. And then execution of provisional sums under the contract, abortive works. These are the mechanism to deal with the variations, sir.
Okay. So any further things, how would you valuing the variations, method
Yes,
of measurement?
value.
Yes.
Yes, valuation of the variation. If the measured quantity is changed by the more than 10% respect to the specific atom quantity, the bill of quantity, then a new variation will be applicable. If the change in quantity multiplied the specified atom rate change by change the accepted counter price by 1%, then and also this uh, change in cost per unit by 0.5%. If the atom is not fixed atom rate, then variation will be applicable, sir.
Okay, thank you. Because other than that, you should have like requirement for notification whenever, even though if it is unknowingly instructed or it is coming out of project requirement, whenever the contractor comes to know or getting aware of it, so within how many days he has to give notice and timely submitting the proposals, approvals, maintaining the budget control, all these things are part of this. So we have to make sure these are incorporated within the contractual mechanism. That is the
Sir,
requirement.
as
Yes,
per
please.
predict, is there a timeline is mentioned for the if the employer instruct the changes up to what is the time period for replying for the contractor? 14 days or 7 days like this?
No, it is not like that because it's not definitely mentioned in FIDIC for like a timeline to submit the proposal or acceptance or rejection, not like that.
Yes.
But only the notifications, if at all, any of the party they are getting aware of the variation or change occurring to the project, they have to notify. That's all. That will be like you have to give. It will be defined within your contracts. You can add additional classes if at all required.
As per
Okay.
FIDIC, it is there. Timeline is mentioned as per FIDIC. I check with the no timeline is there in FIDIC
That's what it
1997.
is not defined, but it should be notified. That's what. So this
Mm.
timeline and all, you have to make project protocols within how many
Uh,
days, because otherwise how
yes,
will you manage? So you have to
yes,
make set of project protocols for everything, like even
yes. Mutual,
approvals, issuing of
the,
drawings, everything.
the mutual
Otherwise,
understanding. That is
yes,
mutual
yes.
understanding between engineer and the contractor.
But again, this is contract administrator's job to make sure that this is agreed between parties in the initial stage itself. Otherwise,
Hmm.
later nobody will agree. So whatever you want to
Yes,
do, you have to set up these things. That's why this procedure, it is called procedures. Although you have some contractual mechanism, that one you have to define like program of work when it is getting as a contractual, once you agree the baseline program, the time
yes,
is
yes,
agreed based the baseline program. Similarly, the project protocol also, after the kickoff meeting or commencement meeting, you will define and circulate and agree between parties how do you maintain the timeline within the project. Because if the client is not approving the drawings, how the contractor going to execute it? So it is
yes,
going to
yes,
delay them. So you should have some project protocol to have some timeline to keep track of each and everything. Okay, variation instructed, but without approval, how he is going to proceed with it? The detail has to be approved. Workshop drawings has to be approved. Material has to be approved. So all these things require some timely action. So how these things are, you cannot rely everything from the FIDIC itself. FIDIC won't give you detailed timelines for each and every activity. That one we will define it as project protocol in the initial stage. That is the responsibility of the contract administrator. Whoever taking that responsibility, usually as a quantity surveyors, we used to take. So we have to do these things initially agreed. That's what it is
yes, sir, yes,
required.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir. Got it, sir. Got it, sir.
Anyone wants to add something? Okay, let us move
Yeah,
on to, yes, please. Who was there?
yeah. Yes, this is Sohail.
Yes,
Dinakaran.
please.
In
Yes,
our
please.
company, we have the change management procedures, which
Okay.
are shared by the client itself. Like they share this as part of the contract, and it is
Okay.
mentioned that the change management procedures need to be followed. And in the change management procedure, we have the timelines, how the change need to be initiated. If it is initiated, who has to notify, what is the change, how to define, and even the templates are there inside the change management procedure guidelines.
That is very good. So whenever
Yeah.
this question prompted to you can
Yeah.
start by explaining that this is as a set of contractual documents provided by the client itself, because the client is experienced. Those kind of experienced client, they used to have their own set of documents prepared for each and every type of requirements.
Correct.
So they will be issuing it. Other than that, we face so many clients. Maybe some of them are one-time developer. They are going to develop only one project, but they don't have any idea. They just rely on us to do. So we have to advise them. So it depends on your own experience. If your context that is having the client is providing you with proper, so you are going to implement it. So you will check it and make sure that is sufficient enough for you to manage. Maybe that may be sufficient, may not be, maybe something required for you. If it is not there, you can advise the client to verify and include that, amend it. So that is the scenario. So always as a quantity surveyor or a commercial manager or contracts manager, the designation can be anything, but when we take up this kind of contract administration responsibility, we have to make sure whether if it is already there, that is well and good, but we will review it. So that's what we have to do. Okay?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Welcome.
Main problem is there, sir. What happened, sir? This question is answered just like words are arranged difficultly. Then difficult to understand the question, and we know the answer, but we are no guarantee whether this answer is applicable or correct or not. That is the problem, sir.
That is what. So whenever you should try to start like in my current project or in my previous project. So
Yes,
automatically you are bringing some context to the answer. Then the panel would understand that you are trying to relate to your own experience, not just memorizing or just listing out some of the components. You are trying to relate it to your experience. That's what it is required whenever you answer at level 3, level 2. If
yes,
level
yes,
1,
sir.
no issue, you can do. So then they will not use the word like advice or procedures or process, steps.
Yes, yes,
They don't ask those kind of words. They will ask what are they, how many, or
yes,
what is the difference, what is the
yes.
description,
Just
or
like a
something like
definition,
that.
definitions of
Yes,
the
yes.
term, definitions of the term.
So those things are level 1. You don't need to worry about any context then. You can start
Okay.
building with your experience also. If you get time, the assessor is not interrupting you, you can go on explaining with your examples.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Yes.
So here advise a contractor on the importance of adhering to the change control procedures stipulated in their contract. Now client is agreed with you about the change control procedure. Now you have the change control procedure, you are taking it to the contractor. Now if you are a contractor representative, also you have to convince your management that you have to follow these things, because they will say it was not there in the contract document, or it is not defined in the FIDIC or something like that, they may ask you. So how do you make them understand the importance of adhering to the change control procedures stipulated in your contract? Any idea? How would you explain to the contractor or subcontractor, to whomever you are in charge to, or you are taking responsibility for them, how you will explain it, the importance?
Can I try?
Yes, please.
I will say that as per the contract, it is clearly mentioned the change management procedure. So as a contractor, we have to oblige to follow that. for a collaborative and good approach to get our variations get approved. If we use a different kind of or we are not following that, then there is a chance of rejection from the employer side or the engineer side, and our variations get struck. So for a smoother procedure, we need to get the money also, because the work is already done and the variation is not yet get approved, then it will affect the cash flow. So this is my advice to follow the change management procedure for a collaborative, smooth approach.
Yes, that is well and
Can I
good.
add, sir? Can I add
Yes,
something?
please. Yes, please.
I will advise the contractor regarding the importance of adhering, such as that they have to give the early notice to us, early notice to the employer, whether to go further, to go implementation of change or not. Also, they have to contractor has to submit the cost and time implication for checking the availability of the funds, or any borrowings are required, or any required for this change. Also, I will advise contractor to identify the savings in the existing bill of quantity and existing contract sum. If it is there, the realistic saving is there. If it is manageable, then it is easy to implement the change control procedure.
Yes. Finally, you can add it to that. It will avoid further disputes, because when
Yes,
the variations
final
get stuck and you
yes,
are
yes.
expecting something, it is not getting approved, you will go on for disputing it, or it will lead to a claim and then dispute. So you can avoid those kind of things. That will be helpful for the contractor in each and every
Yes,
way
sir.
to get them
To avoid dispute, that
paid
is
on
important.
time
Yes,
and
sir.
get approved.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In addition to that, we can say
Yes,
that
please.
the contract procedures and the mechanism need to be explained in the kickoff meeting itself. Once we kick off the project,
Yes, that is what.
yeah,
Yes, that is very good point. You have to
yes.
start from the beginning. Otherwise, if you bring it later on, maybe they get
Mm, mm,
suspicious. Maybe you are trying to manipulate them. Those kind of things.
yes.
They
We
worry.
did
What is
about
this? If it is not there in
mm,
the beginning, why it is coming now? So
correct,
they get
correct. They
worried.
need
So it
can
has to be done. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Next one, in establishing reporting regimes and protocol. Now we have to establish reporting. Advise a client on establishing a cost reporting regime that meets their specific needs and provides effective project oversight. So you will define why we need reporting, what are all the reporting required, what we will do with the reports. So those kind of things you have to explain to the client. Whenever the client is novice, they are not experienced one, and they don't have set of procedures already clearly defining what are all the reports they need. So in such scenario, we have to define and explain them and make them understand. So we have to take in that way. If it is not your experience, okay, it is not going to be your question, but this is some sort of general scenario. Yes, please.
We'll have to inform the client that we'll have to have a separate change management procedure tracker, and that should be submitted to them, and a cost report and a cash flow. So these are the main reporting regimes for them.
Okay. So why do we need that? What specific needs and provides effective project oversight? So what sort of oversight it is going to
Because
bring?
the change management process will let them know on the additional costs or the negative costs actually, and the cost report in total can give them the full picture of the project, and the cash flow can let them know on the requirements of the funds according to the project flow actually.
Yes, you have to explain these things, like whenever we are providing some format, that format should be understandable to the client, and it should be some sort of a dashboards, easily bringing every detail in one single A3 sheet or some desktop mechanism.
Yes.
So it should be easily understandable by the client. That is first format, and then we can include some sort of KPIs like cost performance, how it is there, cost to complete, those kind of things. And yes, of course, change. You have different variation at different stages you will have. Some of them are already agreed, some of them proposals received but still yet to agree commercially, or some of them are just instructed and has no evaluation of cost or time impact. So those kind of things also, it will come proactively know that any sort of deviation from the project cost. And again, we will define who wants to receive the reports. So who are all there, who are in the management stakeholders, they want to see these details, receive, get informed. And all these things will be defined with the review and approval, because whenever contractor submits, usually the engineer review it and approve it. Otherwise, contractor, whichever he is submitting, that has to be taken as the actual. Maybe sometimes it may not be. The contractor may perceive some of the work partially completed, still it is not inspected and agreed. The progress may not be in the same terms between the supervising engineer and the contractor. So those kind of things are there. So it has to be reviewed and approved. Those setup also we have to make sure. Anybody wants to add something, or we can move on?
Yes, I want to say this is, I will explain the importance of the cost report
Yes.
during the construction of projects. It is can control the change, control the cost, not exceeding the budget for the client. Then after that, I will establish the cost report format and what is including in this format. As example, the project budget, payment, and variation, approved variation, anticipated variations, claim, and professional sum, preliminaries. All the data will include the cost report and forecast of the budget and cost to complete.
Yes. Those are the important aspects to be included to get a effective project oversight. Okay, thank you. Let us move on to next question. So what are the key factors to consider when determining the frequency and format of cost report for a large infrastructure project? So it's not about building project, it's about infrastructure project, and we want to determine the frequency and format. Because usually we used to have weekly and monthly, those kind of reports, and what all the things are included in weekly and what extra additional details are included in monthly. And when it comes to large infrastructure project, what sort of important aspects are required? So that is the case. So if anyone experienced in infrastructure, you may give.
What are the key factors to prevent it
Yes.
in the format of cost reports? Sir, can I try, sir?
Yes, please.
While working, currently working for the infrastructure project, in my current project, we are following the cost cost reports formats. The frequency of the submission is the monthly basis to the engineer and employer. For the in format, we are considering the executive summary, then contract data, then till the month end cumulative work done, current month work done, progress at site, then approved variations and claims, anticipated variations and claims, then loss and expenses claims in the project, then anticipated completion, anticipated contract price for the project, balance work in the project, and at the last we are mentioning that the changes in current report, change of the current report with respect to previous submitted report. That summary we are submitting along with the these are the key factors in cost format, cost reports.
Okay. Anybody wants to add here something? Because it is especially when we say large infrastructure project, usually it is from the government bodies.
Also, one thing is there contingencies and risk allocations also there, sir.
That is what it is important. Risk profiling, that is very important, yes, for infrastructure.
Yes.
Because other than that, it may be nearly similar to the building project or mixed use developments. But when it comes to the infrastructure, the risk level is higher. And most probably the unknown site conditions and redesign requirements are there, and method related things are needs to be observed. Everything it will give to the risk profile. So that risk profile will be there, and you will make sure how you are managing the risk, including the contingency, because contingency is there for you to manage the risk. So it is in related. So contingency also you will manage with the risk profile. That is what important, especially when it is there in the infrastructure project that is also large. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That I missed that
Thank
point.
you.
That risk and
yes, later you added yourself, but in the APC you don't get that opportunity. You have to remember and go in sequence. That is the case. So it's all you came up later, but that's what it is important.
I understand, sir, because I have to update my knowledge, everything. Okay, sir.
It is there, but timely you have to recall. Immediately you have to include with that.
Yes,
that is important. Okay.
Time is important.
Yes.
Sir.
So next question. Advise a project manager on how to use cost reporting data to inform decision making and control project expenditure. Any sort of thing for particularly for the project manager? How do they use the cost reporting data for decision making?
I would share the cost report with the project managers who are delivering projects so that they are aware of our budgets and then what is the remaining budget we have so that they can manage the changes, because most of the changes they come to them before it comes to the commercial team. So they need to be aware of what is available in our pot so that they can spend and make a decision. So sometimes they are not able to make a decision. Sometimes they think we have too much money left, and then they take decision on changes, on additional scope items. So if they are aware of the financial status of the project, they will be under fear, or they will be under control that okay, we have limits to spend our budget. So in that way I'll be sharing with them the monthly cost report so that they can not only aware about the progress but also the financial condition of the project.
Yes, financial condition of the project, overall health, enabling proactive intervention and informed decision, and corrective actions if something goes Maybe slowly it is getting off the track. It's not performing as per the scheduled. So they can bring it back. So they can use some trend analysis, identify the problem at early stages. So this performance indicator like cost performance, so they can identify so many things. That's what it is important. So the next one is advise a client on how to use quantitative risk analysis to inform their contingency planning for a construction project. So you have to explain here how you are making the quantitative analysis, because you will be submitting this matrix to them. Maybe they don't understand. If experienced client is, of course, they will ask you and they will see and they will provide you input. Everything will be initiated by them. But in general, like highly relying on the engineers or novice client, how do you explain to them for planning the contingency? First of all, you have to tell why you need contingency and how it is relevant to the risk management, and what sort of quantitative risk analysis you will do to define the contingency. Anybody?
Difficult question.
Difficult question. It is a usual procedure. It is not something completely difficult. But again, what we are doing the maybe occurrence, the chances of occurring. For sure, it will occur. It is very rare, or maybe you have moderate chance of occurring. So those kind of occurrence. Maybe some of the risk, yes, of course, it will occur. Some of the risk, it may not occur at all. It is possibilities are there. So those kind of Monte Carlo simulation, like maybe only the 20% are having the high impact. So that means the impact level, is it severe or moderate or minimal? So this impact level you will give, and the other side you will give the possibility of occurring. So this kind of things you will have like a risk matrix you will apply, and you will take this Monte Carlo simulation also in line with that. So this kind of probabilistic forecast, and as well as what are all the identified risk you are having already, and make some sort of risk appetite which are the client is capable of handling. So then to define the contingencies sum. Otherwise, if the client is completely unsure of this and he is very skeptic about providing this contingency sum and managing it, then better to transfer the risk to the contractor as much as possible. You cannot transfer everything, but still you can transfer some of the things based on your decision and understanding. When you are explaining this to the client, you will do the quantitative risk analysis based on mainly whether it is occurring or not. If it occurs, what is the severity? And then maybe only the 20% of risk are damaging more than the rest. So this Monte Carlo approach you can do and provide your quantitative risk analysis. Anybody wants to add something?
No, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we can proceed. Again, this is under risk management analysis technique. What are the key steps involved in? Yes, please.
Can we say probabilistic method, where the risk can be categorized into like best case, worst case, and likely case?
Yes, yes, yes. That's
So,
what probabilistic
it is. Monte Carlo, yeah, probabilistic can also be.
Yes.
Considered, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
And again, here key steps involved in developing a risk management plan for a construction project, and how would you advise a client on implementing it? Now, already you prepared something. Now you have the contingency fund and identified a risk with the quantitative analysis. Now you want to manage it during the project life cycle. How do you do? Yes, please.
The key steps involved the risk management plan is the major factor is the mitigation of the risk. In mitigation measures, I will follow the sharing of the risk, transfer of the risk, avoidance is the risk, and reduction in the risk, and retain the risk. In these 5 factors, I will manage the risk in the project.
Yes, that is the response planning, risk response.
Yes.
How do you respond to the risk? And
Yes.
again, you need to assign risk owners. Which are the risk? Who is responsible? Because some of the
Yes.
things may be like cost impact, time impact, or quality impact, those kind of risk, how it is affecting. So you will assign the risk owners and establish monitoring and reviewing process. So whenever it comes, how it is managed within the time frame, you have to address the issue. Otherwise, if it is not managed on time, it is going to be disastrous. Implementation advice, including integrating it with project management process, clear communication, and regular update. This is common things. You have to add it to that, then it will become full. So the main thing
Yes.
is like a risk response. And again, who is going to take the responsibility when the risk occurs? That is also to be defined. And again, the monitoring and review process. These are the major area for this.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yes, you can add, yes, please.
Okay. You want to add to develop the risk management plan. First, I want to identify the risk and prepare the risk registers. And after
Okay.
that, evaluation the risk. What is the impact of the risk? Probability and impact according to
Yes.
impact matrix. And after that, we'll set up the risk response plan and with the different mechanism. As example, to avoid or to transfer or share.
Yes.
After that, assign the risk owner, who is the fellow, the risk as per the division, and like that we can control the risk in the project.
Yes, that is comprehensive. You covered all the steps involved in that. That is well and good. If we explain in this way, that is sufficient for the level 3 answer. Okay, thank you. Let us move on. Advise a contractor on the benefits of using risk register to manage financial risk throughout the project life cycle. Now already we prepared this from the client and we implementing it. Now again taking it to the contractor to be part of it, because the most of the risk, he is the first person going to know, the first stakeholder who is going to realize this risk is occurring. So contractor has to be the first person to initiate the registering the risk register. So we have to convince him what is the benefit. So when you say the benefit of risk register, you have to convince the contractor. Yes. Again, it is similar to the change management only. How we want to convince the contractor for change management procedures to be followed. Similarly, risk register also in similar manner.
Yes, in order to control the risk in the project,
Yes.
that is important to have the risk register.
Yes.
And distribute the risk register as they're the most effective or most impactful projects.
Yes.
To set suitable strategy to eliminate the risk.
Yes. Anything?
No more.
We
Okay,
can say
thank you. Yes.
we can say that having a risk register makes our life easy by giving a transparency for all the stakeholders in the project, whether it is a contractor, consultant, or a client. So we
Yes.
can review the risk as and when it occurs. That can be registered. If some of the risks are not registered in the consultant's log, we can take it from the contractor and make it part of our
Yes.
cost reporting. So it avoids, like, any miscommunication gaps between both the parties.
Yes. So again, it will be helpful for them to audit it. Everything, it is managed or not. All the risk identified or managed or not. Maybe, as you said, when contractor identified, but it is not identified by the consultant, if it is not carried to them, then that will be left without management. So these kind of things
Yeah.
can be audited
And,
and make sure. Yes,
and
yes,
also,
please.
yes, and also
Can
it is important to take the risk register to estimate the amount for
Of
each
course.
risk. So as a contractor, so can insert this in the within the budget when we want to better the projects or like that.
Yes, yes. That is also
can I add?
important aspect. Yes, please, Josie.
I will advise the contractor benefits of the risk register, such as it will help the contractor to achieve the project objectives such as time, cost, quality of the project, and also it will increase the confidence in the project team. It is avoiding the surprises in the team, and in the surprises in the project. It helps the avoiding the disputes also in the project, and also it risk register helps the to avoiding new opportunities in the project.
Yes, that is also valid, and you can easily convince the contractor to support
Yes,
by using this risk register.
yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Next one is again change control forms. When we are introducing change control procedures, now we have to agree on the forms also, because some of the we have different level of approving. Like first, there is instruction that is agreed, whether this instruction through engineer instruction or something through verbal instruction, confirmation of verbal instruction, or through any changes in the approval of shop drawings or design review. Those kind of things are there. So now all these things you have to bring it to the table by way of related stakeholders to agree on the terms. Yes, this is the change that we require, and it has to proceed stage by stage. So those kind of forms you need to introduce. So agreeing those kind of forms, it is one of the important procedure. Anybody wants to put it as an answer from your experience?
Yes, the form we can use in integrated change control. We start the RFI request for information.
Yes.
This initiate the change procedure. But after that, issue the request for change. RFC request for change issued by the contractor to the engineer. Also, we have form agreed engineer instruction. This is
Okay.
EI when
Yes.
engineer want to instruct the change to issue engineer instruction in format, so engineer instruction. After that,
Okay.
they have formats agreed value instructed AVI. This is value final format
Finally,
use.
when everyone agreed, that time
Yes,
agreed
everyone
value
agreed,
instruction.
contractor, client clear, then we'll put the information in agreed value instruction.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anyone else wants to add something? Okay, let us move on to next question. Benchmarking and best value. Now, whenever it comes, we have to have some benchmarking by having the budget. So how do you going to define this is your budget? So based on the market analysis or feasibility study, and you would have taken some sort of benchmarking. So that is the approach you will follow and use the best value approach. Because again, this is market. If you are developing a residential building, you want to sell it or rent it, you should know how much the cost should be, then only you will be beneficial when you are letting it for sale or rent. So those kind of things you have to see the best value approach. So how do you do those kind of things? And whenever you are encouraging the contractor to go with value engineering, or you yourself, you can do some value engineering during the project to minimize the cost, but maintaining or increasing the value to get the best value. So would you, anybody wants to put some sort of explanations from your example or experience?
Yes, to before we procure anything, we go for the cost planning. So at the time of cost planning, I would suggest a client like we based on the benchmarking we have, most of the consulting companies, they have their benchmarks already, and then which they publish online, and they have the in-house benchmarking as well. So based on that, we'll be giving them the estimate cost plans, so that the client will be aware of the value what they are going out in the market. So by
Yes.
that way, they are sure that whatever they are getting out from the market is worth procuring. And also, in terms of in returns, we can give them the IRR calculation, like ROI calculation, kind of say like if they invest into this based on our cost planning, how they are going to get the returns.
Okay, that is good. Anybody? Any other points or procedures which is in your own organization? So it is up to your organization how you define your value beyond the cost, quality, life cycle, sustainability. It can be anything motivating you to achieve best value in terms of these three aspects. Either it has to be quality or life cycle or else sustainability. So these three are your motive when it comes to the best value. And you can add this thing when you measure the value. What is value? Okay. Let us move on to next question. This is about loss and expense. Advise a client on strategies for effectively managing and responding to a contractor's loss and expense claim to mitigate potential disputes. Anywhere maybe you would have experienced when you are representing the employer or directly working under the employer. Because this is to mitigate the potential disputes. So how do you advise the client? strategy. Because none of the clients. Yes, please. Yes, please.
I advise the client to avoid and follow the contract term. As examples, the timeline of the contract.
Yes. Anything else? Because usually, whenever it comes to the claim
Yes.
is something. Yes.
Sorry, I have an internet issue.
Okay, okay, no problem. Yes, continue.
Hello?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello?
Hello. Are we audible?
Yes, it's audible, sir.
Hello?
Yes, I think he is unable to hear us.
I have a problem in internet.
Okay, you may try to log off and log on, or you want to wait. Okay, fine. We'll discuss at the end. Okay, this is the case when we go for the advising on loss and expense. That means the contractor incurred some expenses or loss from his side, but that is not coming under any change or variation. So he is going for the claim. In such scenario, no client would be willing to reject on totality during the progress, because that is going to demotivate the contractor to give his effort to complete the project. In that kind of scenario, so usually it will go and try to understand how the contractor is trying to claim his entitlement, substantiation, and particularly if you want to take any expert advice also, that is well and good. And furthermore, you will try to explore negotiation and early resolution while you are maintaining the detailed records of the assessments and communication. So that is very important when it comes to loss and expense claim. So we will not straight away reject it immediately, although if at all it is there won't be any substantiation submitted by the contractor for his entitlement, then you will be start asking further supporting documents or records or evidence. So in that way you will take up to the next level. Not immediately, usually they will reject this kind of claims. Okay, that is the practical scenario. That's why this question is like this. So I think we are at the end of this project finance. We covered the level 3 experiences here. We just want to move on to quantification and costing. Anybody wants to discuss something from project finance?
One thing is there, I have one doubt, sir. Now this,
Yes,
whatever
please.
the question we have seen now, the 12 questions are there. Such a long question they will ask in, their assessor will ask such a long question, or level 3 short questions?
Because they have to use it, but usually when they go, that's why I highlight the things. So advice on effectively managing contractors loss and explain claim. So that's what they will say. They won't go and read like a paragraph. They don't do. But it should be in that way as per RACS requirement when they go for level 3 or level 2 questions. It should be detailed.
Detailed question,
Unfortunately,
yes,
the time is the constraint. We don't have sufficient time to discuss much in detail. So the main thing you can find from the keywords what they are using. If they are asking
Okay.
about the how do you advise or how do you manage or how do you report, those kind of things usually at level 3. What are the procedures, what are the steps, or what are the key elements? If they ask, then that will be your level 2.
Okay. Okay.
Other than that, most probably it will be level 1. Yes, anybody wants to add something or wants to discuss?
Yeah, yeah. If there is a question like, okay, what challenges have you faced in managing the project finance, and how do you manage it?
Yes, it is level 3.
Yeah. So what all mean? Like, how can we structure that answer?
No, you have to start with example. More like take one project. That's what I said. Whenever I say in my current project or in my previous project, which was so and so, and we had this kind of issue, and I used these steps and I analyzed and reported or advised. So those kind of answer you have to take with the example. Anything
So
that is
actually,
relevant.
it asks for different challenges, right? So if we come up with one example, is that enough, or do we need to like list out many
No
challenges
need
what we have faced?
to list out many. You can say by word, I have many. I will start explaining by one, and like that you can continue. If you complete one, maybe you need to go for next, because you cannot address at level 3 2 3 items.
Correct, correct.
So it is usually, even when they ask about how did you manage, then it is at level 3. It cannot be at level 1. You cannot simply list. If you start listing, maybe they don't have time, then they will decide that you are listing something. So it is at level 1. So you don't want to put it yourself at level 1. I have faced many. I will go with one example first. Like that you start.
Mm-hmm.
So don't
Okay.
restrain yourself by listing something. When you are listing something, if you don't get time to explain later, then that is going to be you didn't achieve the record level. So they will comment like this. So don't go in that way. Always start with, yes, I have experiences, multiple scenarios are there, or context I have. So I will go with the example like that. You start explaining from one by one. If they allow you, you can go to next example also from your experience. That is well and good, because it is level 3. They may allow you up to 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Thank
Because
you.
if you are doing well with level 3, they don't need to go down to level 2 or level 1, because you are satisfying at level 3. That is well and good. They will listen to you and move on to the next competency. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, please. Anything else? So shall we move on to the next competency? Okay. So this is quantification and costing. Again, here, how would you advise a client on the most appropriate method of quantification and pricing document for their project? So usually, how would you select it? That is what the question. But it is about advising, so they just want to use the keyword. Advise a client. So the client can be anybody, your inline manager, your other departments, anybody. So just ignore this advice. That means level 3. Now you have to identify which quantification method and which pricing document is appropriate for their project. So what are all the things you will take into consideration? You have to go by exploring one by one.
Yes, sir. Can I answer, sir?
Yes, please.
Uh, for advising the most appropriate quantification method and pricing document, first I will check the requirement of the client. Then requirement of the client. Then I will check the design responsibility. Design responsibility of the then complexity of the project. The risk attitude of the client for this project. Then design responsibility, then timeline requirement for the construction. Then these 4 5 points I will check with the check with
You
the
will check how do you
advice.
decide. Now you want to advise what are all the different options available for quantifying and pricing.
Yes.
Anybody wants to answer? Yes, please.
Yes. I advise my client he can use first thing I will ask or understand the scope of the work of the client.
Yes.
Based on the scope of the work, then I will advise him to use a suitable standard method of measurements. As example, System 3 for infrastructure work, System 3 or System 4, and BOMI for infrastructure work and building works, and then NRM2. And after that, based on the type of the contract, the measurement or fixed or lump sum contracts, then we'll advise on the pricing. We can use, as example, schedule rate
Schedule of rates.
based on the
Yes.
lump sum contract, bill of quantity,
Yes.
if the contract is any measurement. Also advise him to use schedule of work,
Yes.
work day.
Yes. These are all very good example.
Yes.
Joshi, you added the elements you analyze, but here the important is what you want to advise. That is the thing. The quantification, how do? You need to mention about the standard method of measurement, and again you have to relate it to the contract form, how you are going to utilize, whether it is remeasured or lump sum or what sort of things are there when you are going for quantification. And again, the rates, rating, pricing books, which are the things are there, BOQ, schedule of work, schedule of rates, activity schedule, these kind of things are there in the industry. So that you may use anything which is appropriate for the project complexity and the form of contract. So we have to advise those items. That is what important. After you analyze what are the elements you mentioned are yes important, you are analyzing them, and after that you have to go on advising them based on the identified or analyzed details of the project or client's requirements. Okay. Next question, you receive tender returns. How would you analyze them and report to the client with a post-tender estimate? Most probably if you are working in pre-contract, this will happen. If you are in the post-contract, usually it won't happen. But this is what happens in between tender returns and signing the contract. Anybody? Nobody in the pre-contract? Has no experience. Okay, that is fine.
Yes, this is after receive the tender return, we first time we open the technical
Yes.
technical report or technical develop
Yes.
and evaluate the technical submittal. Once evaluate the technical submittal, we'll choose who is achieve the best rate of submittal. After that, we'll go to the financial submittal and open financial submittal and checking the error
Yes.
in the tenders. And
Yes.
there we will do tender normalization and
that is
compare
good.
it with the post-tender estimate.
Yes.
And after that, we report this, the result to clients to show him what is the best over what is tender, what is the high tender, what is the less tender, what is the tender have the errors, and we prepare the tender reports. It includes number of tenderies, and the evaluation criteria, and who is win the tenders, and final recommendation. That's all.
Yes. Yes, these things, when you are submitting those things, you will highlight the risk and opportunities in each bid. That means each tender, comparing against the budget. If any item like a highly deviating, particularly from the budget or benchmarked rate, maybe abnormally high or low, those can be potentially risk. That one also we can take into consideration before proceeding to final acceptance. Maybe they have some items priced high or very low. That may come later as a dispute, because even though he priced low and he is very good contractor, one item, if he is pricing something abnormally, it's an outlier. That means that is some error he made in that item. If we have defined rates, benchmark rate from our side, we can refer to that and try to mitigate that. So those kind of things can be done before accepting. Okay, thank you. How do you manage the valuation of works throughout the project, including interim payments and final account? This is valuation of works. How do you manage? Josie, don't you do interim payment valuation, final account
Yes,
preparation?
sir. Yes, sir. Same I am doing here. My assistants are doing this interim valuation. Also, final. I have the experience in that one. Can I answer, sir?
Yes, please.
In my current project, I am managing the interim payment app certificates and final accounts in the following manner. First of all, first I will daily reporting is there. Daily reporting, I will make the records of daily list of the activity which is exist for the permanent works. Then correspondingly, I link with this approved work RFA for this work. Parallelly, I will check the shop drawings, approved shop drawings, and quantity takeoffs sequence, quantity takeoff as per the work is progressing at site on regular basis. And this is during the course of everything. During the course of this whole month, I will maintain the record for this RFA, approved shop drawings, or any if there is any NCR is there, I will instruct my project manager to take the corrective action and close that NCR. In that way, I will compile all the measurements, and in the next month I will submit the IPA for the final account. Final account, if I will subsequently I will also start the rolling final account parallelly, and I will log the measurements, including all the supporting document references of supporting document, and every month I will submit to the as a parallelly to engineer for verification, and I regularly I will update.
Yes. So you have to, all those things are good. Whenever you start, you have to, as to make it like level 3, you have to give the context, what sort of form of contract you are using, whether it is remeasured or lump sum. And for that, how do you take up the quantities? Because you are telling you are measuring the shop drawings for the
Yes.
actual quantities. So how do you do them in case of lump sum?
Yeah.
So you have to be careful what you are giving, that is in line with your project form of contract. That is also
Yes.
important.
Yes. Yes.
Again,
Yes.
valuing on-site, off-site materials as per your contract, and any other things like claims, EOT, whichever it is there, that is also you have to take and record it in your payment. And yes, of course,
Yes.
variations, provisional sums, prime cost items, all these things should be
Yes.
there.
Material on site, off site.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So these are the important things you have to consider when you manage throughout the project life cycle.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let us move on to the next question. What advice would you give regarding target cost contracts, TCCs, and pain gain mechanism? Anybody having experience in this kind of contract setup? Usually it is very rare in Middle East. Still, if you
Yes.
have,
Very rare.
otherwise, if this kind of question comes to you, if you don't have experience, you may say to them that I have no first-hand experience in this, but from my knowledge, I can explain what is the procedure. Like that, you can tell.
Actually, the target cost, it is the client and contractor. The client is set the target of the project, and this will be as the contractor exceed this budget, then he will take uh, he will take the risk, and after he is construction work less than the budget, then will have fee from the contract from the client.
Okay. So that is the mechanism, and you will do the thing collaboratively to make it effective.
Yes, if the client wants a cost certainty for this.
Yes, yes.
Yes, he will should follow the target cost.
Yes. Thank you. The next one is, again, this is loss and expense, but that one, what we have seen, it is through contractual responses. But here it is about how do you assess and value claims for loss and expense. Now he is claiming something, contractor, or you are a contractor, you are preparing it. How do you evident it? When you go for loss and expense, this is not something quantity, variation, change. It's not that. It is some sort of loss. What kind of loss and expense you had experience? Anybody had experience?
Actually, loss and expenses happen when when the client is prolong the project, have long time for execute the projects. So in this time, in this and the contractor don't have any responsibility for this extension of times. So the contractor can ask for the loss and expenses because he spends more due to the long duration of the project. It spends more for the staff, for the rent of the equipment, for labor like that. Then he ask claim for that. And that's all.
Yes. There can be anything, but it when it comes measurable that is going to be highly reliable on the EOT claim. And we have to clearly define how it is differing from EOT claim. So maybe it is not 100% directly impacting, or some sort of partial delay that client is taking into consideration for partial possession or sectional completion. Those kind of arrangements are there. In that case, this EOT, it is not 100%. So it has to be like put it as a loss and expense, not directly proportionate to the EOT. Extension of time, that kind of cost cannot be calculated on the holistic approach. Again, disruption. Sometimes you may get disrupted work procedure due to unavailability of the supervising engineer. If he is not available to approve the work, you may not pour concrete. You have to cancel the orders. That may become your cost, but there is no delay. But it is a disruption. You are going to do it on next day, but still you have cancelled and your labor were waiting, and these kind of things may happen. So we have to take value this claim based on the actual sustained cost incurred, not hypothetical losses. Like you cannot straight away go and take from your BOQ and apply the preliminaries, some percentage or number of days. You cannot claim like that. So that is the reason it is coming as a loss and expense claim. So always it is substantiated with the actual cost incurred, substantiated clearly. So this kind of delay and all, it is specific. It's not in the holistic, or you cannot do it as a EOT. That is the reason it is coming here. And again, it can be negotiable, because although it is clearly incurred cost, but still the planning would have been in a better way, and the contractor would have managed it. So that's why always the client can negotiate these things to have a reasonable settlement. So that's what we will do it here. So how do you manage cost reporting throughout a project? Now forget about what we are having in the project finance or commercial management. Yes, of course, the cost reporting are there, but when you are coming here, cost report, you are going to give input, add input or expect input in detailed manner regarding the cash flow and the sum, original contract sum, those kind of things. You have to list it down. Agreed variations to date, anticipated final cost, value certified, paid to date, comparison again, budget, cost plan. So actual versus forecast of cash flow statement, summary of key risk and opportunities identified as of date, elemental breakdown for that, in which element it is having the cost overrun or underspent. These kind of things we will prepare proactively. From the quantification and costing point of view, you have to explain. So you have to say, this is the items I will cover in the cost report. I will collect from the interim payment. Most of the things are available in your interim payment. Addition to that, you can add up to your change control procedure registers. Other than that, you can value the variations, proposals, and whatever you are having for cash flow, actual versus forecast. All these things you can include in your detailing. Anybody wants to add something? Okay, let us move on to next question. How would you advise on using BIM for quantification and costing? Anybody having experience using BIM for quantification and costing? Because in Middle East, most probably we are using the BIM for final
Yes,
handover.
yes,
Only for maintenance it is
yes.
available. So
Now,
usually,
yes. Now I am using them for this.
okay, that is good. It will be good experience. Okay, usually this cannot be from your experience. Then of course you don't need to include it as. So when you develop the BIM itself, automatically this is developed in 3D. Each and every item with the material, specification, cost information, all these things are interlinked to your model. So when you select certain item and select those kind of items and export the properties, automatically you will get extracted data as quantity, either length, area, volume, or numbers, count you will get.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
these things are
Yeah.
you receive from that. When you have the cost database associated, like a 5D BIM, you are adding the cost value also, cost information also to the model. Then automatically with these details, next to that, you will get the cost information directly
Yes.
from the BIM. Okay. So these are the
Yeah.
things.
Sure.
If at all you want to explain, but most probably if you didn't touch anything in your level 2 or level 3 experience, nobody going to ask you this question. It can be level 1. You can simply say, no, just idea I have. I can answer these things based on my knowledge and understanding. So next question, how would you advise on using different methods like BOQ rates, pro rata method, or unit rate from first principles using quotations or day works? So when you go for valuing the variations, change, so that time, how do you decide which method you are going to use? Because this one everybody has
Uh,
to answer because
yes.
this is a common scenario for
Yeah.
all.
We will
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
well, in my current project,
Yes.
uh, uh, by using different methods of different way for BOQ rates, pro rata based methods and first principle, I will see the characteristics of the work. What is the valuation of the? I will see the varied characteristics of the work. If it is similar to the existing nature of my BOQ, then I will use the existing BOQ rate. If this if this variation work, new work is some partially related, partially similar to the existing BOQ or same nature items, then I will extract some data from existing BOQ and I will take the reasonable adjustment considering the relevancy. I will work out the rates. And if it is a totally new atom is, if totally new atom is, then I will take the rates from the derived from the first principles or uh, building cost information system or building maintenance index. From that I will refer.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody wants to add something or change the way of answering? Okay, if that is well and good,
Okay.
let us.
I want to add
Yes, yes,
something.
please. Yes, please.
Actually, if you want to evaluate the change in the project, if we have the lump sum contract, we can use the first principles. Okay, for
Yes,
estimating.
yes.
If we have very measurement contract, you can use pro rata from existing price from the DPU. Yes, pro rata or the DPU rates.
Of course. Anybody wants to add something? Okay, let us move on to next question. how would you advise a client on using provisional sum and prime cost aligning with project requirements? This is before going into, it's not post-contract, this is pre-contract. So when you decide whether you want to use provisional sum or prime cost, how do you decide?
Okay, I will advise my client regarding professional sum. If there is a design for the part of the scope of work not completed, so we don't know what is that component of this scope of the work, then we can allocate some amount as a professional sum in the budget. And regarding to prime cost is the cost of material without inflation. Okay, we can estimate or ask for the price of material allocated in the BQ. And later on, the contractor, we can just add the inflation and overhead and profit.
Okay.
Can I answer this
So
question?
those are the recommend. Yes, please. You can try also.
I will advise the client for using provisional sum and prime cost sum. Such as if the client want to execute certain work for the and the design is not ready during the tender time, then tender. Then I will advise the client to make some provision under the to make some allowance under the provisional sum. So later on, client will take the decision whether to execute or not to execute, whether it is required or not required for the future of the project. Also, this prime cost atom is there. There is a one client want to execute certain work, but for that he is unable to finalize the specification requirement or latest technology, latest specification for the certain atom. So I will advise that to make but the client knows the quantities and scope. So I will advise client to make provision to make the provision for the material cost in the BOQ as a prime cost sum, and later on he can insert adjust the contractor will adjust that prime cost atoms, prime cost rate, and with the addition of handling charges, wastage, and fixing charges. And yes, sir.
Okay. So this can be in Middle East we are using some sort of things like for wooden doors we use prime cost, but it is for a whole, including the workmanship, and again kitchen cupboards, those kind of things also you can use
Bathroom fittings,
prime cost.
bathroom fittings.
Yes. So those things and all, it is coming as a prime cost, including installation.
Including installation, yes.
Yes, not only material. Some of the items we use including installation.
Yes.
That is well and good. Thank you for both. So how would you advise your team on using pricing preambles aligning with your project BOQ requirements? So what is pricing preambles? Why do you use it?
In my project, I will advise. I'm advising for the pricing preambles. My team, such as the for the execution pricing preambles means it is the description of the description for the what is particular inclusion and exclusion for the atom rate, for the particular atom rate. Then also this in what situation you have to use the so apply the day works rate and new varied rates, and understanding of the BOQ atoms. It is including the pricing preambles. And I will advise my team regarding the pricing to use the using the pricing preambles as per the characteristics of the works. If it is existing BOQ is there, then regular method of measurement will be applied. If it is work is totally unpredictable, not similar nature of the work, or not susceptible to standard method of measurement, then day works will be applied. And if the total new work is there, then it will be evaluated as per the contract provision.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody wants to try answering differently or adding points? Yes, Mohammed, you want to add something? Okay, let us move on to next question. How would you advise your team on what is involved in the costing of construction works at a basic level? Now this is about pricing. So how do you build a rate?
Yes, we can build the rate by using the first principle
Yes.
of health, labor, and equipment, and profit, and risk allowances. And
Okay.
also we can use history information from our past project and adjust the times and location for the specification for the specifications to address the rate.
Okay.
And
That is well.
and also you can use quotation from the subcontractor, this market price.
Yes. What are different
Yes, that's
published pricing available in Middle East? Anybody having idea in your area of practice? Published rates or any sort of pricing or in general?
Generally, according to they made analysis for the unit rate by breakdowns. Example, the item material, example, concrete, steel, concrete, sand, and add later on, and after that add the subcontractor who is working the job for doing the job. Then we'll add the overhead or
Yes,
sometimes we'll add the labor.
because I think
labors, skilled labors.
yes, I understand those things you are explaining in detail, but what I was asking is anything like a book or reference material available for you in the market for the rates or prices published. That means
Published.
like a book. Some organization they are publishing the rates or some cost information.
Just like in
UK we have this BCIS,
BCIS,
building cost information.
Spons is there, Laxton is there. 3-4 books are available. But in Oman, the such book is not available for the available for the referring the costing. But we are referring the in-house historical data within my organization. Also, we are referring to the similar type of project currently executed and at up to what level that is applicable depending on the characteristics of the work we are referring.
Okay, that is fine. Anybody
Because,
wants
sir,
to add?
in Oman, we are not following, sir, this BCIS or BMI, Laxton, Spons.
Yes, we can't follow those things because they are not our immediately usable data. You have to adjust them for time and location, currency exchange,
currency
and
exchange,
inflation, and
inflation,
local availability. All these
Yes.
things you have to adjust so many things, then it become impractical to use those data. So that's why usually we don't use.
Yes, in Oman we are using only historical in-house historical data quoted for similar project or currently executing project for similar type of nature.
Yes, that is fine. In UAE, Abu Dhabi Statistical Department and Dubai Chamber of Commerce, they were publishing earlier some sort of material rates, and then they change it to indices, and later it become very sophisticated. It is not clearly available to the public nowadays. Okay, those things are there when you go for costing of construction works.
Yes.
I think we are at the end of the session. Anybody wants to discuss something relevant to these competencies or in general, you may ask now.
Sir, now one doubt is there. Whatever the
please.
questions are you have taken here, now that is, I will check. I have checked with my SOE. That is, it is somewhat matching, some is not matching. Then can I compare with my SOE same questions and make the preparation accordingly?
Yes, of course, you have to do like that only, because they will see your SOE and take up the keywords and try to form the question.
Yes,
So
yes,
it will
yes,
be
yes.
relevant to the things what you have utilized within your summary of experience. Not
Yes, sir.
everything, because the keywords, if it is not listed in your summary of experience, of course, they are not going to bring any sort of questions in that area. Because if you didn't touch anything about using the BIM for quantification and costing, nobody going to ask you about how do you do that, because you didn't
Yes, yes,
explain
yes.
anything such a way that you have used.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Anybody having something to discuss? If you have something to discuss, write email, or you want anything specific, or you want to discuss about
Sir,
probable
one thing is
questions or
there, sir.
something else, please.
Sir,
Yes, please.
in last week, one message came that is that Aditya Learning Hub will conduct one mock session based on our SOE and CS. We have sent our SOE CS, but no information from anybody from the group. So whether it is possible or not possible, any mock for now 2-3 days are balance only for my interview.
When is your interview?
3rd May.
3rd May. Okay, I will check and get back to you.
Yes,
You are in
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
group. Okay.
I am in the group and I have sent an email ID is there now that I have sent my SOE and CS also I have sent.
Okay, sure. I will check and get back to you, because
Yes, sir.
maybe
Yes.
they would have collected on the same day itself. After that, they may not collected from the submission. Maybe already we are busy with all these mocks which we arranged and agreed earlier. So maybe missed out. I will check and get back to you. Sure, tomorrow
Yes, sir.
morning I
Yes,
will
sir.
get back to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir. Yes.
other
Thank
than
you, sir.
that, if you have certain questions, you can share in the WhatsApp group. Maybe someone else they may try to answer, or we will try to give you the answer. We can keep moving forward until your interview, so that will give you some sort of continuity. So
Yes.
keep preparing well, and
Yes,
be
sir. Yes, sir.
confident, and try to answer at context level. Always try something like in my project, in my organization, something like that. Start it. Don't start
Okay.
directly to the point. That is very
Yes.
important. So then only they will feel like you are recalling your experience with the project context and examples. That is very important to make sure that your answers are perceived at record level. Otherwise, they may simply put in that way you have answered, but the answering was not reaching the record levels. So they will put, maybe if it is record 3, they will put 2, or if it record 2, they will put 1. That is going to be problem, because you answered, but still something that is not what we can expect. That is something disappointing. So
Yes,
after
sir. Yes,
all
sir.
the
Yes.
preparation, your answering is not in the record context, then it is going to be difficult for the panel to take
Yes,
a
yes.
judgment call. Anybody having something, or we can call it as a day and conclude the session? Mohammed, anything, final thoughts, or
No, thank you.
welcome? Raghu?
I would like to say thank you for your this section. It was very informative.
Thank you. Welcome. Dennis, I think today you are completely silent because project
some
finance
difficult,
was.
like
Yes.
some difficult questions. So I don't want to, mislead or something. So I thought it even in my mind. Then I didn't, said like that.
But, we are
But-
trying to cover all the skill set which is given in the RACS pathway guide and other guidance in the extreme level to
Yeah. Good.
give
That
you
was good
some
actually.
thought process. Otherwise, maybe it will not lead to this much level, but we want to cover
Yeah.
to the extent what is there in the competency.
Exactly. Yeah. And also the note which you given that you have to start from the project experience. That is actually a good tip for
Yes,
me
yes.
actually.
That is good. That is good. Yes.
Yes, that is the important thing actually.
Yeah.
So usually to make sure the panel understand that you are giving your experience. So that is important. Otherwise, simply maybe they miss something and totally they think that you listed few things and that's all. So it's only level 1 or level 2, something like that they will put. That is very dangerous. So we have to make sure that we have to start in that context. That's what
Yeah.
important. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for that.
Yes, Dennis, you started something and
Yeah.
we.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It was, yeah, I mean, this is, of course, I'm not a cost manager, but it was very insightful because some of these things I have experienced, I have seen through when I'm working with cost manager. But of course, it's level 3, so I cannot advise. But it was very insightful. I'm very happy to part of these sessions. And thank you for accepting
Welcome.
me as a project manager.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Anybody?
you, sir. No, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Shifat, anything? Welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all. We will
Okay,
end
sir.
this session now.
Okay, sir.
Good
Thank
night
you.
and try to catch up in later somewhere, somehow. All the
Okay.
best for your final
Yes,
assessment.
yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Bye.